Hey everybody, I'm Ronald Long, one of the pastors here on staff at Wayside Chapel, and I gotta admit, this is my office, and it's a little uh, more clean than it normally would be. But there's one part of my office that I get made fun of, probably more than any other thing, and it's not the Nerf gun over here or the picture that I don't have on my wall yet, or the phone that needs to be connected still. It's this guy. My Taco Bell pillow. I get more flack from any other thing that I might possibly do as a pastor, or really just as an individual person, for my love for Taco Bell, especially since I live in San Antonio. It's almost sacrilegious, I'm told, to even consider enjoying food from a restaurant that serves fake tacos. The reality is, I'm A, kind of cheap, and B, I think it just tastes good. Like, I know it's bad for me. Like, I'm drinking my water over here off screen. I've got a healthy meal in the fridge that I'm going to eat in a little bit. But I really like Taco Bell. Mostly it's because of my love of cheese. And if you care at all about Taco Bell, you'll know recently that they made a really big decision that affects us with a budget and that who enjoy things off the dollar menu. Is they're getting rid of things off the dollar menu from Taco Bell, like triple layer nachos. Man, I used to love going to Taco Bell and getting a whole big thing of nachos with beans and cheese and salsa for $1, right? That made my day because I love chips and dip. But they're going to have to be getting rid of it along with a couple other items as well. And some of it has to do with this crazy time that we're living in right now. Now, I understand me mourning the fact that Taco Bell is slashing some things from their dollar menu really does pale in comparison to some of the things that we've had to go through during this pandemic. And I don't know where you are or what your family's experienced, but I know for me, we've experienced loss during this time. It's been difficult. Again, I want to thank you guys for praying for me as we've lost my brother during this season. I know that I've spoken to a lot of you who've also lost family members. Some of you from this virus, others just through natural causes or other things. But because of the virus, maybe you weren't able to be with your loved one when they passed away. Maybe you weren't able to offer the care that you wanted to. Others of you have lost jobs because of this virus, because of the seasons that we're in. And instead of being able to go back into the workforce, there just aren't anything for you to go and find right at this moment. A season of loss is never an easy thing to go through. And whenever we go through any type of season of loss, for us personally as a family, I'm always drawn back to the book of Job and remember the struggles that Job went through. And when I'm reading in chapter 1 through Job, I just can't imagine what pain he must have experienced. Because starting in verse 13, after we get explained that Job was a man of faith, and after we hear that Satan goes and approaches God, and God tells him, "Hey, have you seen my servant Job, and have you seen how faithful he is?" Verse 13 is when it says, "One day." One day. And it continues to go from that and saying, in that exact same day, Job loses all of the oxen and all of his donkeys that he had. Job loses all of his sheep, all of his camels, all of his servants, save for the 4 who come back to report these horrible things to him. And at the same time, after figuring out that he had lost all of his livestock and all of his servants, the last messenger comes to say in verse 18, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. Suddenly a powerful wind swept in from the desert, struck the 4 corners of the house. It collapsed on the young people so that they died, and I alone have escaped to tell you." Now, This is a terrible day for Job. I can't even begin to fathom losing one of my children, a reality that some of you have been through. And this is on top of hearing that Job had, in one day, lost all of his wealth, everything that had been used in such a way to support his family and provide for him and his family, and he'd lost all of his servants, I'm sure people he knew and loved and cared about, and then also that he had lost his children, his own flesh and blood. I don't know what type of response you've had to the loss that you've experienced during this time. Maybe you have been angry. Maybe you've been sad. Perhaps you've been upset at God or at the circumstances or at the people who you might feel are responsible for your loss. There's so much that you might feel. And when I go through this and I read Job 20 and 21, when it says, "Then Job stood up, tore his robe and shaved his head, and fell to the ground and worshipped." Job's response to this loss is worship. And he said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will leave this life. The Lord gives, and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." I don't know what type of loss or experience it you might be going through. I don't know what trials your family has seen, be they small and trivial, like the loss of dollar menu items from Taco Bell, or be they large and extremely painful, a loss of a job or a family member. My prayer for you is that during this season of loss, that while you are struggling with feelings of anger and of sadness and of confusion and maybe even fear, that you would not lose a response of worship. That you would worship God, because God is the one who's given us all these things. Our very breath comes from the fact that the universe, the creator of the universe, wants us to breathe right now. So I hope and I pray that you might worship during this time. One of my favorite songs that I think on, and it often reminds me of my father's passing away now 11 years ago. It's from a musical group called Shane and Shane, and it's a song called "Though You Slay Me." And then just the chorus goes, "Though you slay me, yet I will worship. Though you take from me, I will praise your name. Though you ruin me, still I will bless you." I pray that might be our response now, that no matter what happens, we might worship the name of the Lord.